Allow me to introduce you to the Isuzu Trooper. Starting in 1981, the first generation of Isuzu Troopers came to the United States in the form of very capable, but largely underpowered 4x4 SUVs. 1986. A year of mistakes followed by hard learning. The Chernobyl reactor had failed, Space Shuttle Challenger had horrifically exploded, and the Oprah Winfrey Show had launched. This was also, coincidentally, the year Isuzu got their shit together.
Get your shit together!
Up until 1986, the Troopers came with either a 1.9-liter gas engine or a 2.2-liter diesel. In 1986, the Troopers introduced the 4ZD1 2.3-liter inline-4, which was significantly higher in power, but still not good. Finally, in 1988, Isuzu introduced the great 4ZE1 2.6-liter inline-4, along with the GM-produced 2.8-liter V6, which behaved like a GM motor. Both these only lasted until 1991, when Isuzu switched to the 3.2-liter V6 and majorly redesigned the frame. And here we have the shittiest of all troopers, my trooper. She's a bitch, but no, she's just a bitch. Why is she a bitch, you might ask?
But why?
Well, about a year and a half ago, I was living in Bend, Oregon, doing landscaping and getting ready to attend Montana State University. I left my job a month before I needed to leave for Montana, realizing that my 1991 GTI probably wouldn't enjoy the snow. I panicked and bought up the first trooper I could find. Being broke as shit at the time, I found a 1989 $500 4ZE1 4-door Isuzu Trooper listed with a blown head gasket. The car looked pretty beat up, so I thought $500 made sense.
I mean, I was a businessman doing business.
I went to look at the car and found multiple red flags, but I was desperate. So I paid $400 for the car that I had already deemed the Isuzu Pooper. So I dollied the Trooper back to my apartment, at which point I pulled the head off to find all exhaust valves were terribly bent and had thrashed the head, throwing aluminum shavings into the cylinders.
So no head?
This was great news. Deciding it was my only choice, I carefully got out all the material I could from the skeptical-looking cylinders and ordered a later model head core, valves, and a head gasket. In the meantime, I installed headers and deleted the smog pump, EGR, and full vacuum valve system. The head's valves were delayed and only arrived 2 weeks before I had to leave, so I rebuilt the head and put it on the engine with a week left. But then I came to the realization that 4ZE1 timing covers are actually quite impossible to source. After failing to find one, I decided I would need to make my own, so I welded up a metal timing cover indistinguishable from stock. Then, I realized that Isuzu had completely overlooked the fact that their harmonic balancer wouldn't fit through my perfectly built timing cover. So, with 2 days left, I did the obvious thing and cut the harmonic balancer in half. This meant that I had to re-weld the clutch fan pulleys to line up, which also had issues hitting the timing cover. So, upon fire up, I needed to leave in 2 days and had an open downpipe, and it sounded so helpful. But I simply convinced myself it was an exhaust leak, bought some 33-inch tires, packed 1,000 pounds of tools in the back, and started the 13-hour drive to Montana in an unfamiliar, unregistered, obnoxiously loud, and very sketchy Isuzu Trooper. Surprisingly, 2 days and 4 oil changes later, I had made it to Bozeman, Montana, and discovered
I'm kind of retarded.
Nevertheless, I needed to complete the semester before returning home in case I wanted to transfer later. So I decided to fix up the Trooper a little bit. I fixed the exhaust leak and the sound was still present, but I ignored it and simply told myself I needed to set valve lash again. So I decided to continue this train of self-torture by bodyworking and painting my Trooper in the parking lot half a mile from my dorm. I also undercoated the whole frame, roof, and door wells. Flash forward 4 months and I only had 3 weeks before I needed to drive back to Oregon, and the Trooper's knock was getting worse for no reason at all. So, in my most stupid approach to working on a car yet, I decided that in my parking lot I would strip down the engine to bare block and crank to fix what I thought was rod lock. I did all this in Montana in early December, knowing I needed to leave before Christmas break. But then I got COVID, and, well, I'll just let this clip speak for itself. Alright, so I'm here in Montana. And I re-rung the bottom end and put new rod bearings in December 11th and 12th, I believe. And then the week after, I got COVID and was down for a while. And then when I got better, this had happened. So it's currently December 20th, and I was supposed to leave today, but I'm stuck here putting this thing back together. Got the head prepped and everything and ready to go back. And then I just gotta time it, fill it up with fluids. Yep, and then I'll be headed home.
Mm-hmm.